Hello, and thank you for listening to Texas History for Kids. I'm your host, Michelle Gallegos, an educator, writer, history nerd, and novice investigator. Each week on the show, we will learn about interesting parts of Texas history, from battles and historical figures to the odd and enchanted. Hi, and welcome back to Texas History for Kids. I'm your host, Michelle, and today we're looking at something that looks like a chunk of crumbling adobe brick, like the kind used in an old San Antonio home. And it's definitely older than my entire family tree. This little cube of dried mud once helped form the walls of buildings where one of the boldest events of the Texas Revolution took place.
Okay, big question time. How did a bunch of volunteers, some with no training and barely any supplies, manage to win the very first big campaign of the Texas Revolution?
Let's rewind to October 2nd, 1835, after Texan volunteers pushed back Mexican troops at the Battle of Gonzales. Their confidence shot up, and so did their numbers. Pretty soon, about 300 men gathered together and chose Stephen F. Austin as their commander. Why Stephen F. Austin? Well, because someone had to bring organization to a group that basically ran like a big, loud group project where no one agreed on anything.
Yeah, group projects can be chaotic.
Yeah, and so Austin led this growing army towards San Antonio de Béxar, where General Martin Perfecto de Caz had gathered around 650 Mexican soldiers. Now, Caz had fortified two main areas near San Antonio: the town plaza, which was west of the river, and the Alamo, which was then a former mission, east of the river. By mid-October, the Texans reached Salado Creek just south of the Alamo. Their numbers grew past 400, including legendary names like James Bowie and Juan Seguin, who brought a company of Mexican Texans ready to fight for the cause. Now here's the kicker. No one could agree on what to do next.
Classic. Everybody's ready to get to work until it's time to get it done.
Right, so in late October, James Bowie and James Fannin led scouts closer to town. Now, Caz responded by sending 275 men to attack them at Mission Concepcion. The Texans, who only had 90 men at the time, used the riverbank as cover and won decisively. They suffered almost no losses. Now, that battle gave them a huge confidence boost. But attacking San Antonio? Now that was a whole different story. For weeks, both armies fought in small skirmishes, little battles that allowed them to sort of test the waters to see how the real battle was going to go down. Now, supplies were tight, the weather was cold, and the armies were running low on morale and willpower. Now, William B. Travis managed to capture 300 Mexican horses and mules, which had helped, but food and warmth were still major problems. Then, on November 26th, something unexpected happened. Erastus Deaf Smith, who earned his nickname due to a hearing loss in his childhood, suddenly spotted Mexican soldiers approaching with a pack train. Now, a pack train is a group of animals, usually mules, horses, or donkeys, that carry supplies when wagons can't easily travel. So just think of it like a moving supply line made of animals instead of trucks. Now, each animal carries packs, which are loaded with things like food, ammunition, or in this case of the grass fight during the Siege of Béxar, grass to feed the cavalry horses. Now, Texans rushed in. They were convinced the packs held silver that were meant to pay the Mexican troops, but boy, were they wrong. Instead, those packs held something. What did they hold, Zoe?
Hay. Just hay.
Yep, grass for the horses. And now it's known as the grass fight. Still, reinforcements kept coming in for the Texans. And finally, in late November, their commander, Stephen F. Austin, left for the United States. And Edward Burleson took over. But even Burleson wasn't sure they could win. Supplies were shrinking. Winter was coming. Some officers wanted to retreat back to Goliad. Then came a surprise. A Mexican officer slipped out and surrendered, reporting low morale inside San Antonio. The Mexican troops were tired and hungry too. And that's when one bold Texan decided he'd had enough talking. So on December 4th, Benjamin R. Milam stepped forward and shouted a line that changed everything. Who will go down with old Ben Milam into San Antonio? More than 300 volunteers yelled, yes, of course.
I love that energy, like when someone says, who wants ice cream? And literally everyone stampedes towards the car.
Exactly. The Texans launched their surprise attack at the dawn on December 5th. James C. Neal blasted the Alamo with artillery to distract the Mexican soldiers, while Milam and Francis Johnson led 2 divisions into the town itself. Now they fought house to house, each taking buildings like the Veramendi house. Then they dug trenches and they knocked holes through walls so they could move room to room without being exposed in the streets. And by December 7th, which is the day I'm recording, they had taken another building. But sadly, Benjamin Milam was gunned down by a sharpshooter in a tree. You can hear all about Benjamin Milam in episode number 24 of this podcast. The Texans pushed forward after the loss of Benjamin Milam. More reinforcements came into town, and on December 8th, the fighting grew fierce, even leading to fistfights in the streets. Cos tried to move his men to the Alamo, but some of the cavalry gave up and deserted the fight. Supplies were almost gone. Morale had hit rock bottom. And finally, on the morning of December 9th, Cos asked for surrender. Burleson accepted their weapons and equipment, but allowed them to withdraw back to Mexico because neither side could support a huge group of prisoners. The losses during the Siege of Béxar? Well, Texans lost about 30 to 35 men, and Mexican losses were about 150 men. And just like that, San Antonio and all of Texas was in Texan hands.
Let me guess, that didn't last very long?
Not long at all. In just 3 months, the Battle of the Alamo would happen. But that, my friends, is in episode number 66. It's
quiz time! Alright, listeners, let's see what you remember. Question 1. Why was the grass fight called the grass fight?
Well, because the pack trains that arrived during the Siege of Béxar was actually grass to feed the cavalry horses, and nothing actually to help in the fight. Okay, Zoe?
Question 2. How many men did Texas lose?
We just gave you that answer about 2 seconds ago, guys. Texas lost just 30 to 35 men during this battle. Now, the Siege of Béxar is one of those Texas stories that doesn't always get the spotlight, but it sets the stage for everything that followed it. It shows courage, confusion, determination, and the power of a single voice shouting, "Who will go with me?" Well, that's all for today's episode. But before you head out, I wanted to share something exciting. I've been listening to your comments, and I'm making some changes based on what you've asked for. Along with the reading companion kits that match every episode, I'm now creating reusable resources you can download once and use it with any episode in the series. They should be available on my TPT store here in just a few weeks. And as always, thank you for listening to Texas History for Kids. Hit that subscribe button and always follow the show. More importantly, share it with others who might find it interesting too. If you have any questions or stories you'd like us to uncover, feel free to send me an email at michelle@txhistory4kids. And don't forget, the best Texas stories live just beyond the lessons in your classrooms, waiting for you to explore.
Stay curious.